Alright guys, this is Priven with part 2 of Fluff-Tac. I apologize I've had to break this video up. I've had issues with my recording software all day. I think I've fixed the problem. Hopefully, if not, then you won't ever know this video existed and it won't matter. But if you're listening to it now and watching it, then I fixed the problem. Alright, so I'm going to jump right in. Basically, we kind of talked about morale in the Phoenix King. Now, I'm going to talk about the archers. And remember, I'm going to talk about the fluff aspect of each unit, and then get into the tactics. Okay, so the archers, pretty much when, he made the conscript system, or the levy system, pretty much every elf is required to do military service, and they started off as an archer. They would serve for 10 years, and then after... not just the bow, they would also master the sword, and then after 10 years, once they've, served their time and they mastered both weapons, they're able to advance. I always joke and say this is why elves have such a good ballistic skill, because it's really one of the very first weapons that they know how to use. They train with it when they're kids, up into their teens years, and they use it for the rest of their lives, to a degree. Alright, tactics. The tactics of the archers. Now we're getting into the game mechanics of the unit. What do they have? They have longbows, which give 30 inches. This is fantastic. You're pretty much nearly covering, table edge. With these bolt throwers have 48 inches, so you're only 18 inches short there. Definitely outranging crossbowmen or even Empire huntsmen. With the archers. They have a high leadership of 8. I'll only mention this once. Archer, Spearmen, Seaguard, they all have the same leadership of 8. This is the norm for high elves. We're not like the humans with leadership 7, or silly Skaven with leadership 5. No, we're brave. We're going to stick around. We're not going to run away. And the archer's ballistic skill is 4, like I said, so this means if I don't move them, and there's something, 25 inches away, I'm going to hit it on 4s. If I move, and you're still long distance, I'm going to hit you on 5s, but typically, I'm always going to hit you on 4s. If you're in short range, I'm going to hit you on 3s, which is just amazing. Me playing orcs in 40k, I have a ballistic skill of 2. Yeah, this is definitely a big difference here. They can take light armor, which would make them 11 points per model. Otherwise, they're just 10 points per model. So my advice, don't take the light armor, guys, and I'll tell you why. And pretty much, it's a 6-up save. You're paying 1 extra point for a 6-up save. If it was a 5-up save, I'd say do it, but you literally have a 1 in 6 chance of doing it. So if you had... if you have 30 archers, you're literally paying 30 points extra just to give them all 6-up armor save. You could get a nice item with that, like a Dispel Scroll, or like what I'm saying right here, you get extra archers instead. I would rather take 3 or 4 extra shots, 3 or 4 extra bodies to put in my formation, that could take some casualties, and I could still have, a solid group of 30, than having a 6-up armor save. So yeah, I don't take the armor. If you're taking small groups, don't take command, and put them in groups of 10. At this point, the archer unit becomes chaff. Okay? So pretty much if you have 40 archers in 4 groups, that's 4 placements that you can place on the table, counting your eagles too. So really 6 placements that you can really out-deploy your opponent and force him to deploy most of his army, and then you can deploy your sword masters and all your good stuff correctly, and really make a difference. If you want your archers to be your main force, though, I would take no less than 30. Put them in horde formation with martial prowess. They're going to get all 30 shots. It's great. You can use them as your main bunker, though, but I honestly wouldn't. I think spears are better, and when we talk about spears, I'll explain why. And best ways to use the archers: several in small groups, like I stated, or basically 2 big groups of 30, so you have 2 big blocks, put them in horde formation, and of course, don't forget to focus fire on a particular thing that you're trying to kill. Alright, so final thoughts for the archers. They don't have quick fire, so pretty much, if you get charged and, they're well under the distance, you're not going to get a stand and shoot. they're toughness 3, strength 3, so you're really going to kind of struggle with some of the toughness 4 armies like Warriors of Chaos, Ogre Kingdoms. In all honesty, if you know you're fighting Warriors of Chaos or Ogre Kingdoms, unless you just really want a ridiculous, dumb challenge, I wouldn't even take archers. This just because you're only going to be, sure, you'll be hitting on 4s, but then you'll be wounding on 5 or 6s, and then the Warrior of Chaos will just make its 3-up armor save, and oh, looky there, you just wasted a bunch of shots. It's happened to me multiple times. But if you do use them, take a lot of them. They can really hold their own in combat. Remember, they have always strikes first, weapon skill 4, initiative 5, so even against Warriors of Chaos, you still will get the strike first and possibly get a reroll. And, you know, they can actually hold their own against basic troops. You know, like swordsmen or, you know, especially Skaven and stuff like that. Alrighty, so now we are into the Spearmen. And the Spearmen are probably one of my favorite high elf units, so I'm just going to forewarn you I'm a bit biased. So after an elf serves as an archer, after they put in their 10 years of service, they take up the spear. So basically, you know, for fluff purposes, whenever you see a high elf spearman on the table facing you, he's had at least 10 years of experience, if not more so. He knows how to shoot a bow, and he's been elevated in the conscript military, basically, to the rank of spearman. Spearmen are the backbone of the elven army. Without the spearmen and the mass numbers that the spearmen can field, the high elf military would have been wiped out by the dark elves or demons a long time ago. They got something called the phalanx formation. That's what the codex calls it. That's for fluff purposes, but basically it's just standard 5x5. The picture has them in horde formation. If you're in the phalanx formation, as I like to call it, you can pretty much hold against anything for a period of time, at least 2 turns, sometimes 3. I argue they are one of the best core units in the entire game, not just in High Elf, the whole game. Alright, tactics. What do they have? They have spears. So 4 ranks deep with martial prowess. So if you have 20 spearmen with the champion, everyone's gonna get attacks. That's 21 attacks coming at you. It always strikes first. It's pretty impressive. They have light armor and shields. They have a 5-up armor save. And here's the icing on the cake right here, guys. They can take a magic standard for 25 points. And that's just great. And we'll go over what kind of standards that I'd recommend on the next slide. Of course, they can take full command, and there are only 9 points per model, which is, you know, for what they do, you know, having 4 ranks deep, always strikes first, weapon skill 4, a leadership 8 model for 9 points. It doesn't get much better than that. Alright, so my advice. Always take a full command. You're never going to be running these guys in groups of 10, and if you are, then I urge you right now to just go ahead and proxy and make them archers. You at least always want a group of 20 of them. Take the magic standard. I use the standard of discipline. It's excellent. Makes them leadership 9 even before you put a character in there. You really gotta take advantage of the steadfast, guys. It's great for us. Take at least a minimum of 25 to 30 spearmen, even in small games. In my battle report against the Dark Elves, I took that big spear block, and granted, nearly they all died if you watch the video, but they lasted pretty much till the end of the game, and they were just able to take the punishment. Bunker them up. 5x5 formation. Like I said, steadfast is great. Put your characters with them and make that spear block leadership 10 with the BSB rerollable. They're not going anywhere, and sometimes, you know, you feel like you're playing White Lions with them. Alright, final thoughts. Remember, don't forget that extra rank to martial prowess. I know a lot of new players that are playing High Elves. I've seen them use Spearmen, they only do 3 ranks. Remember, we get a 4th rank with spears. Steadfast, it's great, but don't abuse the spearmen. They're not immortal. They're not by far the best unit overall in the High Elf army, but they are one of the best. They might need some support, especially if they're fighting a demon prince and stuff like that. Unlikely they will be able to kill it, but they could tie it up for combat at least 2 turns, maybe 3. Use your unit champion wisely. I can't stress this enough. If you have a Vampire Lord with Red Fury coming at you, throw your champion out there. You know, it's going to buy you another round of combat, buy you some more time to get some help for that unit. I would never go in horde formation with the Spearmen. There's no point. You got martial prowess. You already get that additional rank. I'd rather take the steadfast. Also use a high elf mage if possible, like a little level 2 with high elf magic. Now it generates a ward save. It's great. It makes them even more sturdy and durable. I'll even throw this out there. Sometimes I use a Chosen of Assyrian, and he'll give whatever unit he joins a +1 to a ward save. So pretty much if I put him with the Spearmen, they're going to have a 6-up ward save. I put a High Elf Mage in there as well. I could possibly get a unit of Spears to have a 4-up ward save. On 40 models, you can't really deal with that. It's nasty. And also, of course, if you want to use smaller blocks of Spears, in 2 or 3 blocks, 20 to 25 spears each with full command. Alrighty, last one here, the Lutheran Seaguard. I apologize again if I mispronounce these names, and I know I'm about to. So they all hail from the Lutheran capital of Eataine. It's supposed to be the greatest city in all of Uthlin. One of the only elven cities left, I believe it might be the only one, that does not have spear and archer regiments. They use professional soldiers, so for fluff purposes, when you look at an archer or spearman, you might be seeing a blacksmith or some, other civilian of other craft. When you look at a Seaguard, you're looking at a real soldier. This is what he does for a living. He will continue to do it throughout his entire life, or until he gets so old he'll have to retire, which very rarely happens with high elves. They're always typically first in the invasion, much like the Marines. Alright, so what do they got? They got spears. So, right off the bat, if they're like spears, what I just told you about spearmen, typically you want to bust them up when they're in close combat, and we'll get to that in a second. They also have bows, but it's only 24 inches. Sadly, it's not 30 inches. If it was 30 inches, I think it would end the debate among high elf players about them being a point sink. They come with light armor, though, so they come with a 6-up armor, but you have to pay an extra point to give them a shield. Of course, they have command, and if you pay that point for a shield, they'll have a 5-up armor save, and they'll basically have extra attacks and extra shooting because of martial prowess. So my advice to you guys is, always take full command. Unlike archers, who you can do in groups of 10 and not take a command, with these guys, you really got to treat them as spearmen, just because how expensive they are. I would take a minimum of 20 if you want to take a small unit of them and try them out. Go ahead and give them the shields, guys. It makes them 12 points per model, but my argument is you're already paying a lot anyway. You might as well, just pay that 1 extra point and get a 5-up armor save. If it was just a 6-up, I would treat it as the archers and not buy it. But since it's a 5-up, go ahead and do it. Plus, these guys are supposed to be the Marines, so they should be a little more sturdy. If you use them in small groups, like I said, 20 to 30, if possible. Or if you want to make it your main bunker, at least 40, if not 50. But at that point, it really is kind of a point sink. It's like 550 points for, I think, like 40 or 50 of these guys with the shields. Really important here, when you deploy them in horde formation so they get all their shots with their bows. And also make sure to take a Sea Helm hero with these guys, because he has a special ability. When they get charged, instead of doing a stand and shoot reaction, you can take a leadership test and basically go into 5x5 standard formation. So basically, they're going to be like archers, and right before combat starts, they're going to form up into ranks, and then you'll benefit from steadfast. So if you really don't take the Sea Helm hero, it kind of makes taking them pointless. So final thoughts. Once again, I'm hammering this down. Best of both worlds between archers and spearmen. Martial prowess, extra shooting, extra attacks. Gotta love it. Don't forget the Sea Helm hero. It's so important. If you don't bring a Sea Helm hero, don't even bother taking the Seaguard, in my opinion. They're costly, but if you use them, go ahead and take the shields. Go big or go home, pretty much, is that philosophy right there. And many say they aren't worth the point sink, and I'm going to go ahead and throw my hat in that debate. Unfortunately, I have to agree. In a tournament, I would never take these guys, simply because of the point sink, but in a casual play or campaign or any other kind of game, there is no reason not to take them. They're fun to play with, and you can do a lot with them. And also, go in horde formation with the Sea Helm hero, and then you can go back into standard formation. And I would never stand and shoot with them unless you're absolutely sure you can wipe out the charging unit, or weaken them. Alright guys, comments. this is kind of fast paced. I'm not sure if this video is going to work, so I'm trying to speed it up just so I can get it on the internet. Your thoughts on these 3 units? Do you agree about what I said about the Archers, Spearmen, and Seaguard? Do you disagree? This is basically 50% of the reason why I'm making this video. I want to hear your guys' ideas on basically my strategy and my way of thinking for these units. Do y'all do something different? If so, please let me know. I would love to try it out. If you even want me to test a couple, scenarios for you, I would more than likely, do something with my list and make a battle report of it. Just send me a message. And once again, guys, thank you for watching, liking, and subscribing. You guys are awesome. And y'all just have great, happy wargaming. Talk to you later.